Heya folks, how are we going today? Do you remember being an early teen? I don't really, I think I repressed it all. But if you're keen to relive your trauma of those awkward years, I think today's series of games is going to be for you. This is Tragedies of Middle School by 9th Level. Initially, when I saw this book, I thought it was one tabletop role-playing game. I was wrong. Turns out this is an anthology work of different games based around the themes of horror and being 13. So rather than my usual structure of an episode, I thought I would tell you about my top 3 picks of the tabletop role-playing games in this book and briefly mention my top 3 games in this book that aren't a tabletop role-playing game. At number 3 is Alternative Education, which is about the division between homeschooled children and mainstream schooling children. In this GM-less tabletop role-playing game, players will play both a homeschool child and a mainstream school child who are on the run from an entity known as the Fog. By using index cards or photocopying the ones provided for you, you get prompts and inspiration to roleplay scenes around the Fog. At the end of the game, either the kids have won or their minds have gone numb to the powers of the Fog. Number 2 is Did You Hear About the Kid Who Died Here? In this 2-person, single-session tabletop role-playing game, the GM guides the player through the story of being a kid. A kid who is having the worst 13th birthday ever and has decided to explore the local haunted house. This game is played with a pack of standard playing cards or a witchboard deck. There is a deck that you can copy in the book. This 2-person game appeals to me because it's not designed to be a long session. I find with fewer players, you have fewer people to bounce off of. There's a bit of a twist to this game as well, which I won't reveal here. My number 1 pick for tabletop role-playing games in this book is 7 Minutes in Hell. This game uses spin the bottle as its main mechanic. This game is about the complex relationships that early teenagers have with each other and getting possessed. Your average party. The game also uses note cards to see how the game evolves, whether or not the possessing spirit is victorious or the young teens. There's also content in here which aren't tabletop role-playing games. Some of my favorites are a LARP called I Was a Teenage Lizard Person, Dungeon Realm, which is a MASH-inspired Dungeons & Dragons style game. And there is Cthulhu Catchers, which is a design for a chatterbox game where you get to have your own Lovecraftian adventure. This is a slim volume packed to the brim with stuff to do. I really love that at the start of each game, there's a little rundown of the game's hook, what is required to play, and roughly the number of people and the amount of time that it takes. The art is varied throughout the different styles of game. I have a particular soft spot for the chatterbox with this little chibi Cthulhu. The art in this book really complements the games and the themes. If you want to avoid role-playing kids going through grisly fates, you can just skip some of the games in this anthology. I think for a lot of us though, who are no longer 13, this book will give us an opportunity to look back and laugh a little at our past selves. I honestly think this is an excellent tabletop role-playing game book. Now, I paid about $38 Australian for this book, not including shipping, which for me, I think that was a steal. This is one of those game books that I just keep bringing up to people because I find it so charming and I see a lot of opportunities for different games that I could play with them. If you're looking for an ongoing campaign, this isn't the book for that. If you're looking for a potential fun one-shot to break things up in between campaigns, this is absolutely a game book to look into. So those were my thoughts on the Tragedies of Middle School. I know today's episode is a little bit shorter. I just couldn't figure out a way to maybe talk about my top 5 games in a way that was succinct enough, so we went with top 3. But tell me, what's your worst memory of being 13? Or are you like me and you just have forgotten about it so you can live with yourself? Let me know in the comments section below if you have any funny stories to tell. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing, liking, or maybe sharing with a friend. It just encourages me to keep going. I hope you're all doing well, and I look forward to seeing you next time at the gaming table. Bye!